I've had my talks with God because I'm not afraid to tell you all. I told the court, if I ever cross paths with him, I will kill the man. I will kill him where he stands.
Breaking news. The father of a 6-year-old boy stabbed to death in his own bed vows revenge after the killer walks free from prison, having served just half his 20-year sentence. That's right, he only served 10 years, and now this guy is free. This chilling case from Kentucky has sparked outrage over mental health defenses and early releases. So I'm Joseph Morris, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's rewind to that fateful night in December 2015, when a quiet family home in Versailles, Kentucky, turned into a scene of unimaginable horror. The Tipton family, parents Dean and Heather, along with their children, 6-year-old Logan, his sister Dakota, and another young sister, were all sound asleep. But around 3 a.m. on December 7th, a complete stranger, 32-year-old Ronald Exantus, a dialysis nurse from Indianapolis, pulled off the interstate during a drive to Florida and randomly targeted their house. Yeah, he slipped in through an unlocked door, grabbed a large butcher knife from the kitchen, and headed upstairs. What happened next is every parent's worst nightmare. Ronald entered the room where Logan and Dakota shared bunk beds. He attacked Logan first, stabbing the little boy, just 6, repeatedly in the head 8 times with such brutal force that the knife blade bent at a 90-degree angle. Dakota woke up to the screams and saw the horror unfolding. Ronald then turned on her, stabbing her in the back and stomping on her head. He moved on to the other sister, injuring her as well, before Dean burst in after hearing the chaos. Dean fought desperately, but Ronald stabbed him in the face and eyes, even throwing him across the room. Despite his injuries, Dean managed to subdue Ronald until police arrived. When officers got there, they found Ronald sitting calmly on the couch downstairs, covered in blood and bizarrely singing Christmas carols. He told them, "I'm sorry, God," as he was taken into custody. But his explanations only added to the weirdness. During interrogation, Ronald claimed he was in a psychotic state, reenacting a surgery scene from the TV show Grey's Anatomy. He said he thought he was removing something harmful from the children, like in a medical procedure gone wrong. Later evaluations revealed he was experiencing severe hallucinations, believing the family home was his own or that he was in some alternate reality, possibly influenced by undiagnosed mental illness like schizophrenia or a substance-induced episode. And here's a disturbing backstory detail. Years earlier in 2010, Ronald had shaken his own infant daughter out of frustration, though no charges were filed. As the investigation unfolded, doctors noted Ronald's odd behavior continued in custody. At a state psychiatric center, he barked like a dog and tore at his dreadlocks, showing clear signs of a major mental breakdown. He insisted he had no memory of the stabbings and described a sudden psychotic break during his drive. The Tiptons, meanwhile, were left shattered. Logan died in Dean's arm that night, gasping his last breath. Dean later shared how the trauma nearly destroyed him. He lay in bed for days, giving up on life, his family, everything. He just wanted to die. Fast forward to the trial in April 2018, where Donald's defense centered on his mental state. They argued he wasn't criminally responsible due to insanity, pointing to his lack of motive, no prior connection to the family, and his erratic actions. After 6 days of testimony and 12 hours of deliberation, the jury agreed in part. They found him not guilty by reason of insanity for Logan's murder, but guilty but mentally ill on the assault charges against Dean and the sisters. Now, here's a question for you. Do insanity verdicts like this serve justice, or do they let dangerous people off too easily? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The judge sentenced Ronald to 20 years in prison for the assault, with time served starting from his 2015 arrest. But under Kentucky law, good behavior and education credits allowed for early parole. Ronald had been denied release twice before, in 2020 and 2022, but this time it was granted. That brings us to today. On October 1st, 2025, now 42-year-old Ronald was released after serving about 10 years total. Can you imagine that? Only serving a decade in prison for killing a 6-year-old in his bed. So he'll spend the next 6 months on parole in Florida before returning to Kentucky supervision until June 2026. The Tiptons were notified just days before, and their pain resurfaced in full force.
I held him so deep in my arms. And finally, he took his last breath, looked at me, and closed his eyes, and he was gone.
Ronald Exantus traveled from Indianapolis to Versailles, walked into the Tiptons' home, and attacked the family in their sleep. Logan was killed, and his father and 2 sisters were injured.
He snaps, and he just stands up with me sitting on top of him, and he throws me across the room. 10, 15 feet, he throws me across the room and goes after her.
3 years later, in 2018, Exantus was found not guilty of murder by reason of insanity, but convicted of assaulting other family members. And just this month, October 1st, Exantus was released early from prison for good behavior.
It's infuriating that a 6-year-old was killed sleeping in his bed, and someone literally only did 10 years in prison, and he didn't even do the time for that. He did time for assault charges. It's just infuriating.
But the family says it isn't just anger they're living with. It's fear.
Me and my siblings, and even my mom and dad, from here on out, we have the burden of making sure that he doesn't come back.
He told her he was going to kill every one of us. So now I've got to be on extra guard to protect my kids, because I will not lose another one. Not like this. I laid in bed. I gave up. I gave up on life. I gave up on my family. I gave up on everybody. I just wanted to die.
Everybody deserves a fighting chance to have justice for them, and it's not.
I've had my talks with God, because I'm not afraid to tell you all. I told the court, if I ever cross paths with him, I will kill the man. I will kill him where he stands.
And you know what? I really hope that I'm on the jury for that trial, because I really hope if that father does kill this guy, he gets away with it, because this is just unbelievable to me. In my opinion, this case exposes deep flaws in how we handle mental illness in the justice system. While Ronald clearly suffered a severe psychotic episode, the early release feels like a slap in the face to the Tiptons, who'd endured lifelong scars. Logan's life was stolen in the most senseless way, and serving just half a sentence for such violence raises serious questions about public safety and true accountability. Mental health treatment is crucial, but it shouldn't come at the expense of justice for victims' families. If you enjoyed this deep dive into a case that's equal parts heartbreaking and infuriating, please hit like and subscribe and leave a comment, because I read every one. Well, I'll try to. Bye, guys.